Elias Ward walked through the quiet evening hallway of Station Selverus 9, holding a small toolkit in one hand and rubbing his tired eyes with the other. He had worked since early morning, repairing docking clamps, replacing damaged wiring, and checking life support seals for ships that arrived from distant regions of the galaxy. Most engineers on the station waited for assigned jobs, but Elias helped anyone who asked, no matter the species or background. It was simply the type of man he was. Calm, polite, and easy to trust. The station lights dimmed to night mode as he finished his last task of the day. He planned to return to his room, drink something warm, and perhaps watch a message from home. As he walked along the wide metallic path, he noticed something unusual near Dock Gate 22. A figure stood there alone, close to the faulty control panel that had been giving problems all week. The figure was tall, slim, and glowing faintly like polished glass catching moonlight. The delicate shine around her suggested she was not human. Elias slowed his steps. The woman looked lost and unsure, as if she wasn't familiar with the station or the controls. Her eyes, bright like small crystals, moved over the broken panel with clear confusion. She touched the buttons lightly, but quickly pulled back, afraid she might damage something. Elias approached with gentle footsteps so he wouldn't startle her. "Evening," he said in a warm voice. "Do you need help with that panel?" She turned suddenly, surprised by the sound of a human voice. Her species had a graceful way of moving, almost floating rather than stepping. Her skin had soft patterns like frost on a window, shifting lightly with emotion. She stared at him, unsure if she should answer. Elias noticed how tense she was and offered a small, friendly smile. "My name is Elias," he said. "I'm an engineer here. If the gate isn't opening, I can fix it." For a long moment she didn't speak. Then she nodded slowly. Her voice was soft, almost musical, when she finally replied. "The device, it does not respond. I am supposed to board my transport." "Then let me take a look," Elias said kindly. She stepped aside, giving him room. Elias knelt, opened the panel, and examined the wiring. It was worse than he expected. Several circuits were fried from last week's power surge. He sighed quietly and began replacing small components with steady, confident movements. While he worked, the alien woman watched him silently. She kept shifting her hands as if she didn't know what to do with them. Elias noticed her nervousness, but said nothing. Some alien cultures frowned upon speaking too casually, so he respected her quiet. After several minutes, she spoke again, very slowly. "You are human." Elias looked up in mild surprise. "I am. Is that a problem?" She blinked quickly and shook her head. "No. I simply have never spoken to one directly." "Well, now you have," Elias said with a soft chuckle as he tightened a bolt. She lowered her gaze. "Apologies. I did not intend disrespect. It is simply, in my world, humans are spoken of often. Many say your people are brave. Many say your people are unpredictable. And many say human women are." She stopped suddenly, as if she realized she said too much. She looked away, embarrassed, her patterns glowing a faint blue. Elias raised an eyebrow. "Human women are what?" She whispered so quietly he almost didn't hear her. "Prettier." Elias froze mid-motion. He wasn't expecting that. The woman immediately turned her face aside, as if she wanted to hide. Her glowing patterns dimmed, showing clear discomfort. "I shouldn't have said that," she murmured. "It was foolish." Elias shook his head. "No, it wasn't. But why would you say something like that?" She hesitated, then slowly answered, "Because I do not look like your kind. My people are judged by our glow, our patterns, our cold beauty, but I do not fit. Others have called me plain. I heard humans have different standards, so I thought, never mind. It was not important." Elias stood up, looking directly at her with sincerity. "You don't need to compare yourself to anyone." The woman looked at him, startled. After a few seconds, she whispered, "You speak with no hesitation. How curious humans are." He finished repairing the control panel and stood. "Try it now." She touched the panel gently, and the gate lights flashed green. The doors opened with a soft hum. Her eyes brightened with genuine surprise and relief. "Thank you," she said. You repaired it quickly. That's my job, Elias replied with a friendly smile. But before either of them could say more, an alarm suddenly echoed through the station. The lights flashed orange, and the overhead voice boomed through the speakers. Warning. Incoming solar flare detected. All crew and passengers report to nearest emergency shelter immediately. The woman froze in panic, unfamiliar with the alert. Elias grabbed his toolkit and motioned for her to follow. This way. The nearest shelter is close. Come with me, hurry. She obeyed instantly, trusting his confidence. They ran through the hallway, passing others who were rushing to shelters. The air vibrated with tension. Solar flares did not damage the station, but created dangerous radiation, enough to harm any unprotected being. Elias reached the heavy circular door of the emergency bunker and pressed the panel. Inside, he said. The alien woman stepped in first, and Elias followed. The door sealed behind them, locking with a deep click. The shelter was quiet, small, and dimly lit. There were 2 seats, a storage cabinet, and a soft hum from the protective shielding. Elias exhaled slowly. We'll be safe here. The flare should pass in an hour or so.
Ow.
The woman looked around, uncertain. I have never been in a human shelter. Nothing special, Elias said. Just metal walls and thick shielding. She watched him, still unsure. Now that they were alone in the small room, she seemed more nervous. Elias sat on one of the seats and placed his toolkit on the floor. What's your name? He asked gently. She hesitated. Varel. That's a beautiful name, Elias said honestly. Her patterns glowed faintly pink, a color he hadn't seen before. She looked down, fidgeting with her hands. You humans speak so freely, she whispered. You do not fear being honest. Why would I? Elias asked. In my world, words are weighed heavily. Compliments are rare. Honest ones, even rarer. Elias leaned back slightly. Sounds like a stressful place. She gave a small breath that might have been a laugh. That is why I left my planet. I was supposed to attend a political ceremony. I did not want to go. Everyone expected me to follow rules I never agreed with. Did you run away? Elias asked gently. Varel looked surprised he understood so quickly. Not in a reckless way. But yes, I needed to see the galaxy. I needed to know who I could be without their rules. Well, exploring is a good way to figure that out, Elias said. You're free out here. Varel touched the smooth surface of her arm, her glow reflecting softly on the metal wall. I do not know how to live freely yet. You'll learn, Elias said. It takes time. They fell quiet for a while, listening to the low hum of the shelter. The danger outside made the small room feel more intimate, like the world had shrunk to just the 2 of them. Varel looked at Elias again, her expression calm but curious. Why did you help me with the panel? She asked. Because you needed help? He answered simply. That is all? Humans are truly direct. Most of us just try to be decent people, Elias replied. She studied him for a long pause. I want to understand humans better. Your emotions. Your choices. Everything is so open with you. So warm. Warm is good, he said lightly. The galaxy could use more of it. Her patterns shimmered softly. She seemed less tense now, more comfortable. Your people are not at all like the stories, she whispered. What stories? That humans are too simple, too emotional, or too bold. But you do not feel simple at all, Elias smiled. Most stories don't tell the whole truth. The hum of the shelter shifted, a sign that the worst of the solar flare had passed. They waited a little longer until the overhead voice announced the all clear. The door unlocked with a gentle click. Varel looked at the exit, then at Elias again. Something had changed in her eyes. A small trust had formed between them, unexpected but real. Thank you for guiding me, she said softly. Elias gave a small nod. Any time. Varel walked out first, her steps no longer as nervous as before. Elias followed, unaware that this brief meeting would change both of their lives far more than they imagined. The morning cycle on Station Cerberus 9 began with soft white lights brightening the hallways. Workers returned to their duties, travelers packed their belongings. The noise of daily life replaced the quiet of the night. Elias Ward arrived early in the repair bay. Expecting a normal day of fixing engines and checking docking clamps, he didn't expect to see Varel standing near his workstation. She stood perfectly still, hands clasped in front of her, her glowing patterns shifting faintly like morning frost melting on glass. She saw him approach and straightened slightly, sure if waiting for him like this was rude in human culture. "Good morning," Elias said gently, surprised but not unhappy. "You're up early," Varel nodded. "I could not leave the station yet. My ship departed without me. I believe the crew thought I had changed my plans." Elias raised an eyebrow. "And did you?" She hesitated, looking around the repair bay. Human workers moved past them, some glancing curiously at her. She lowered her voice. "I did not know where I should go next. The galaxy is bigger than I imagined. Yesterday, I thought perhaps you could help me understand what choices I really have." Elias wiped his hands with a cloth and leaned against the table. "You don't need permission to decide your life, Varel." Her patterns flickered softly. "That is easy for you to say. In my world, choices were never mine." "Then maybe it's time to change that," Elias said, before Varel could reply. A sudden announcement echoed through the station. "Attention. A Zirithi diplomatic craft has arrived at docking gate 14. All related personnel report immediately." The message repeated twice and ended. Varel stiffened instantly. Her glow dimmed in fear. Elias frowned. "Is that your people?" She nodded slowly. "They must have come to find me. They will want me to return." "Do they want to hurt you?" Elias asked, stepping closer and concerned. "No," she whispered. "But they will not understand that I left because I felt trapped. They will speak of duty, of rules. They will not ask what I want." Elias looked at her seriously. "What do you want, Varel?" She stared at him for several long seconds. Her patterns glowed faintly pink again, the color she had shown only when emotional. "I want freedom," she finally said. "I want to learn about other worlds. I want to understand myself." Elias nodded slowly. "Then stand by that. Don't let anyone push you into something you don't want." Before they could talk more, 3 tall figures entered the repair bay. They were Zirathi envoys, their bodies shimmering with the same crystalline glow as Varel, but more intense, like polished gemstones. They moved with strict posture and formal expressions. One stepped forward. "Varel Thallon, daughter of the House of Lumerus, you will return with us immediately." Elias felt Varel shrink back slightly. He stepped in front of her without even thinking. He didn't act aggressive or threatening, just steady. It's like a shield standing where one was needed. "She doesn't have to go anywhere she doesn't want," Elias said calmly. The envoys eyed him sharply. "Human, this is an internal matter of our people. Step aside." "I won't," Elias replied, voice firm but not raised. "She deserves the right to choose." One of them spoke coldly. "She has a duty. She cannot run from it." Varel's voice trembled. "My duty was decided by others. I was never asked what I wanted." The envoys exchanged glances. Their glow shifted slightly, showing annoyance. "Your feelings are irrelevant to the stability of the house." Elias clenched his jaw. "Feelings are never irrelevant." The envoys stared at him again, trying to understand why a human engineer was interfering in Zirithi politics. One of them finally sighed. "We cannot force her physically. Interstellar law forbids it. But Varel, understand this life outside your house will be difficult. You will lose position, protection, and privilege." Varel lifted her chin slowly. "Then I will begin again." The envoys seemed disappointed but not surprised. They bowed stiffly. "We will report your decision. May your path be clear." Without another word, they left the repair bay. The moment they disappeared, Adarel let out a shaky breath she had been holding. Elias placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You did good," she swallowed, her glow flickering. "My hands are trembling," she whispered. "But I feel lighter. I chose for myself. It's all anyone can do," Elias said with a warm smile. For the rest of the day, Varel stayed near the repair bay. She didn't interrupt Elias, but she watched him work. She studied how humans joked with each other, how they shared tools without hesitation, how they argued and made up quickly. Everything about human interaction fascinated her. At midday, Elias took a break and offered her a warm drink. "It's sweet," he explained. "Most visitors like it." Varel held the cup carefully, amazed by the rising steam. Her species never consumed warm liquids. When she took a tiny sip, her eyes widened in surprise. "This tastes comforting," Elias said with a soft laugh. "Humans like comfort." "You enjoy softness more than beauty," she observed softly. "Warmth more than perfection." "Now that sounds about right," Elias said. Her patterns shimmered gently. "My people value shine and flawlessness, but somehow I always felt wrong in those expectations. Here, watching you work, watching humans live, it feels different. It feels real." Elias leaned on the railing beside her. "Real is better than perfect." She held on to those words like they meant more than just casual conversation. She looked down at her hands. "Yesterday, I said human women are prettier." She paused. "But it was not beauty I was comparing. It was value." Elias studied her expression. "Varel, you don't need to measure your worth like that." Her voice softened. "And what do you see when you look at me?" Elias didn't answer immediately. He wanted to choose the right words, honest ones. He finally said, "I see someone brave. Someone gentle. Someone trying to learn who she is. That's what stands out." Her glow brightened softly, almost shimmering with quiet emotion. "You speak as if I am." "Captivating." Elias gave a small, warm smile. "That's because you are." She froze, her patterns flushing pink again. She did not know how to respond. No one had ever spoken to her with such open sincerity. Her people complimented achievement, duty, shine, not personality, not inner strength. She placed a hand over her chest as if steadying herself. "Humans," she whispered, "are too honest." "One of our best flaws," Elias said lightly. The rest of the day passed in calm moments. Varel asked questions about human customs, why humans greeted strangers, why they laughed so easily, why they spoke with their hands. Elias patiently explained each thing, enjoying her childlike curiosity. In the evening, as the station lights dimmed, Varel walked with him through the marketplace. Small stalls glowed with colorful lights selling trinkets and supplies from across the galaxy. Varel looked at everything with wide, shining eyes. She had lived in grand halls and crystal courts, but this simple market felt alive in a way her home never did. She stopped at a stall selling metal bracelets. "Humans wear these?" "Sometimes," Elias answered. "It's just decoration." She touched a simple silver band, admiring its smoothness. No glow, no patterns, just metal. Yet it feels peaceful. "You can have it if you like," Elias said. She quickly shook her head. "No, I do not understand your trade customs yet. I do not wish to take something without earning it." Elias respected that. "Then when you learn, you can choose something." Her patterns glowed softly again. "I would like that." As they continued walking, Varel spoke quietly. "When I saw you last night, helping me repair the panel, I felt something unfamiliar. I felt safe. My people never made me feel that way." "Should always feel safe," Elias said simply. Varel looked at him with deep, gentle eyes. "Do humans often protect people they barely know?" "Pretty often," he replied. "Humans are strange that way." "Strange," she whispered, "but comforting." They reached the end of the marketplace. The path split, one toward the traveler quarters, the other toward the workers' dorms. Varel stood still, unsure. "Elias, I do not know where I belong yet." He looked at her kindly. "Then stay here on the station for a while. Learn, explore. You don't need to hurry into a decision, and would you help me understand this new life?" she asked softly. Elias nodded without hesitation. "Of course." Her glow brightened gently, showing quiet relief. "Then I choose to stay." The two walked side by side, not as strangers anymore, but as something closer to beings from different worlds, finding unexpected connection as they moved through the warm, busy station lights. Varel no longer hid her glow, and though she once whispered that human women were prettier, she now understood something important. Elias had never compared her to anyone. To him, she was already extraordinary.